What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's TV review of Poker Face Season 1, Episode 7, which is titled The Future of the Sport. This, of course, is once again directed by Ian B. MacDonald. Okay, before we begin, congratulations. Season 2 has officially been announced for Poker Face. This definitely deserve it because this is a really good show. I'm really happy for it. So congratulations to Ryan Johnson and the crew that are behind this for getting a Season 2, which is not something that's happening quite a bit recently, especially with TV shows that I really like. So let's go ahead and talk about Episode 7. I really like this episode. I think it's a really fascinating one. I think it has some really good character dynamic. I think it has some really character motivations. It's an episode that I think, lets Natasha Lyonne be in the episode, but not be the main focus. She does what she does, but I think this is an episode that actually is more heartfelt than a lot of things, but also really intriguing, unique, really kind of dark in a lot of respects. And I think the idea of a rivalry between a new person, like a newer generation versus older generations, what this episode really does very well. This is actually written by one of the writers of BoJack Horseman, Joe Lawson, which it definitely shows in kind of how, the justifications for what these characters think is right and what they're doing, what is truly wrong. But this is an episode that actually stars Tim Blake Nelson as an individual who is kind of past his prime. He's a race car driver. He's in kind of like this, lower tier NASCAR event or whatever. And then comes along this character played by Charlie Melton, who of course is known for Riverdale. And basically what ends up happening is they have a rivalry between one another. And it basically turns into this heated argument. They get into a fight. Of course, the Charlie Melton character is very much a hothead. So he does some things that he shouldn't be doing. Like, of course, breaking the mailbox, so on and so forth of the Tim Blake Nelson character. And so one night, Tim Blake Nelson's character decides he's going to get revenge. He decides to unhook or put a fish hook or some sort into the engine to cause a crash that would, could physically hurt the character that's played by Charlie Melton. And in the process, he's having marital issues. His daughter, Katie, who's played by Jasmine Aiyana, Garvin, she wants to be the next in line to drive for this family because they're a family of race car drivers. He's very much against it. She just has problems with it. Her, his wife, who is played by Leslie Silva, is basically, trying to get him to retire, trying to get him to just to end it and all and stuff like that. And of course, as we see before the whole story of Natasha Lyonne's character, Charlie, coming into the mix, the character that is played by Charles Melton, who plays Davis, gets in the car and crashes, and we see smoke and we think he's dead. So, of course, Tim Blake Nelson's Kyle character, Kyle Owen, basically, you can see him smiling, and he's like, oh, what happened? But he knows he kind of sabotaged the whole situation. So, you think that, the Charles Melton character is dead, and of course, that's not how the story plays out. The story is actually much more interesting because what ends up happening is we shoot back. We see Charlie, of course, she's working at a go-kart place where the mother of Charles Melton's character, the Davis McDowell character, works at. We kind of see Charlie, and from her point of view, we see the whole incident with the fight between the Tim Blake Nelson character, the Kyle, and the Charles Melton character. And then the Charles Melton character of Davis and of course Charlie develop a relationship, like a friendly relationship that they play arcade style racing sims and stuff like that, and they have a good time talking about it and how to steer around like a track and stuff like that. We of course get a character, the Katie character, who comes into the mix, takes on of course Davis's character, and they have a heated argument because they do a go-kart race, and of course Katie's she does a much better job and stuff like that. Well, it leads to the night that of course Kyle's character, Tim Blake Nelson's character, tried to sabotage Davis's car, and what ends up happening is Davis sees this, and he actually sees what Kyle has done. He makes moderations on the belt so that it would come loose or break off or whatever ends up happening. And so we get back to the race that day, and we find out that Davis, the Charles Melton character, was not in the car. It was actually Katie, and therefore the smile on Tim Blake Nelson's Kyle's character fades, and when he realizes that his daughter was almost killed, and she wasn't, but she was almost killed. This is the first episode no one dies, but somebody gets seriously injured. And it basically boils down to two individuals, as Charlie kind of sees what's happening. The Kyle character eventually comes out, talks to the press, says, I did this, I'm sorry, it almost killed my daughter, I will never forgive myself for this. He's ruined. But as we see with the Charles Melton character, he did something even more despicable, almost caused the death of someone, and he's doing it because he wants to be the next, big individual or whatever. And in the process of everything, Charlie finds out about the seatbelt situation. She finds out what Tim Blake Nelson's Kyle character did, and it boils down to the only person that really gets in trouble is the Kyle character, the Tim Blake Nelson character. But the character that is Dave is so hot-headed and so stupid that he just is willing to do whatever he needs to do to become the next champion. And Charlie basically makes him, or at least I think she tries to make him realize that he can have all the winnings and all the power in the world, but he'll never get past the idea and then get past the fact that he caused this incident. And therefore, you see at the very end, before it goes to credits, you see him kind of shaking a little bit, which means it can mean many things. It can mean he's just excited for the race. It can mean that he feels a thing of guilt for the situation, for, that he may come clean about. It's like the last episode. It doesn't leave on what exactly happens to him in the end. It just leads on, unlike a lot of the other episodes, but it leads on to like the things we do, how we act, how it kind of has a cause and causality effect and a ripple effect, and how greed and how hot-headedness and how rivalries can never have any good conclusion or never have any good circumstances or turnout, because there's always going to be a tragedy involved. Every time you see, outside of like Talladega Nights or something like that, every time you see a rivalry, it always turns out pretty bad unless they kind of make up and become friends. But yeah, that's kind of where this episode ends. It ends with just him at the driving wheel, the Charles Melton character, the driver wheel. He's now being, of course, sponsored by Lucas Oil, which is a real company, believe it or not. And yeah, that's kind of where the episode ends. And I don't think it's like the greatest episode when it comes to like storytelling and the aspect of Charlie's character. I think it's, once again, she is just there as kind of conscious, like the guilty conscience for Charles Melton's character. She's there to set right but once went wrong, that type of thing. It's just kind of interesting that actually no one dies in this episode, which is kind of a little bit of a relief, because every episode she just happens to be there when someone dies. I mean, of course, Katie's character could have died and all that stuff, but it doesn't happen in this episode, which is nice, which is a little bit of a, kind of a thank God something like that didn't happen. But I still think overall, it's a pretty entertaining episode. I still think it has a lot of fun with this material. I think everybody in the episode is really good. Tim Blake Nelson's always good in everything he does. Charles Melton's good as the young, hot-headed, cocky, assured driver and stuff like that. And once again, Natasha Lyonne's just really good. She owns this role and she does a really nice job with what she's given. It's just she's done better in other episodes because she's had more to do than she does in this episode. She's more just, like I said, that conscious that ends up playing out at the end. So, and also I think if you like the lower tier racing, driving, stuff like that, racing sport, I think you'll get a kick out of this. I think it'll be a lot of fun for you. There's some good moments like around the track and stuff like that. It's shot very well and so on and so forth. So overall, I give this an 8.5 out of 10. I think it has its problems with just kind of the pacing a little bit, but overall 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a pretty good episode. So with that said, that'll do it. That'll be my take on Poker Face Season 1, Episode 7, the future of the sport. With that said, let me know in the comments, as I always say below. Let me know what you think of the episode. Tell me what you think. Did you like it? Did you not like it? All that good stuff. Otherwise, if you like what you see on this video, awesome. Hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell. Top the fun's coming next. If you like the video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.